Meanwhile, 2024 Republican candidates have been hammering President Biden's policy in the Middle East and his very, I guess, tenuous relationship with Israel and his outstretched hand of peace in hope of peace with Iran. Let's bring in a presidential candidate, former governor of South Carolina, former ambassador of the United Nations, Nikki Haley. Governor, great to see you. These events are taking place right now.
Thanks,
are
Bob.
you confident that President Biden has said enough, has said it strenuously and directly enough that we are in their corner?
Well, Brian, I think the first thing is, prayers for strength, prayers for determination for the people of Israel. But let's step back because I want the American people to kind of take this in for a second. Just imagine that here the Israelis woke up and communities were bombarded. Families were murdered. Women and children were taken hostage, dragged through the streets. The elderly were taken. All of this has happened in front of everyone, on top of thousands of rockets that hit Israel. This should be personal for every woman and man in America. Why? Because when they did this surprise attack, when they took these hostages, when they murdered these families, they were celebrating. And what were they celebrating? They were saying death to Israel, death to America. This is not just an attack on Israel. This is an attack on America because they hate us just as much. And what we have to understand is this is the reason that we have to unite around making sure our enemies do not hurt our friends. America can never be so arrogant to think we don't need friends, just like we needed them on 9/11. That's why Ukraine needs us when Russia's doing this. That's why Israel needs us when Hamas and Iran are doing this. And I'll say this to Prime Minister Netanyahu, finish them. Finish them. Hamas did this. Iran's behind it. Finish them. They should have hell to pay for what they've just done.
Senator Lindsey Graham has said that make it clear to Iran that if they get involved, if Hezbollah gets involved, we start blowing up their refineries. What kind of message would you send to Iran? Would you to let them know that they will be hit directly if something else happens, that we know they're responsible?
Well, the first thing I would say is look at what is being said by Russia and China. Absolutely nothing. There's a UN Security Council meeting tomorrow. Guess what they're going to say? I can tell you right now. They're going to say to de-escalate. They're going to say to ceasefire. They're going to tell Israel, don't fight back. They're not going to say, they're going to condemn Hamas, but they're not going to call out Iran. Why? Because Russia, China, and Iran are joined at the hip, all three of them. So if we know that, what we have to do is start being strong. You're not strong by giving them $6 billion like Biden did. And he can say it's not in their banks, but they're moving money around because they know it's coming. You're not being strong by lifting sanctions like Biden did. They're getting tons of oil money, and all that oil money goes to Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, all of those terrorist activities. They see the weakness that we've shown from Afghanistan and everything else. What we have to do is start showing strength. First, we have to make sure Israel secures its borders. The second thing is we need to call on all the Arab countries and ask them where they stand on this. And they can't just stand and say ceasefire. They've got to stand against evil. And that's why this matters, Brian, is we have to have moral clarity. If ever there was a time that America needs to understand the difference between good and evil and right and wrong, it's now. America has been way too divided. Now's the time to come together and say we need to unite. For our brothers and sisters in Israel, we need to unite for freedom. We need to unite for democracy all around the world. And we need to unite America because we can never think that this won't happen to us on our soil. The Iranians are saying right now the easiest way to get into America is through the southern border. And we're watching thousands of people come in every day. And we don't know when our next 9/11 is going to happen.
And we don't know what the intentions of these people are because you know almost nothing about them. And they don't have a court date for 2 to 3 years. And now we give them 3 meals a day. We wash their clothes. We clean their sheets. And we try to get them jobs if that's what they're looking for. And if they end up being terrorists, we're all doomed. That's going to be a problem. And this administration doesn't seem to get that. I know you're busy on the campaign trail. Thanks so much for joining us late night because this is the type of thing that a president of the United States would be woken up for and probably wouldn't have gone to bed when they heard it happened. Thanks, Governor Haley.